Welcome back to Slamdunk Nation, basketball fans. We've been looking at the possibilities of changes going on with the Wizards organization, especially since they traded All-Star Russell Westbrook. Back then we liked the look of the move, but we weren't sure the Wizards would be willing to pull the trigger and move on from their franchise cornerstone so soon into the Beal and Westbrook project. However, the project is looking like a major bust. The Wizards were 4-13 to start last season and never looked like they were going to turn things around. Westbrook didn't end up working out in Washington, and the Wizards may finally decide to blow things up completely and start over. If they do, Beal might be ready to go. Beal has definitely raised his stock by finishing the season just behind Steph Curry with points per game. He also had a stunning 48% field goal average. He's also the most attractive trade option of the two. At 28 years old, Beal is still relatively young in his career. He's likely just entering his prime. His career-high 34.4 points per game to start the season are a testament to this, and he should be an elite player in the NBA for years to come. His game is also far more suited to a career of longevity. Beal is a brilliant shooter and rarely relies on pure size or explosiveness to blow by opponents and get to the rim like a Giannis or a Westbrook. The Wizards have been treading water for a good few years now. Even before the John Wall injury problems, they were a team who were never more than a first or second round playoff exit at best. Since pairing Wall and Beal in the 2012-2013 season, they made the playoffs 4 times in 8 seasons. For a team featuring 2 elite backcourt players in 6 of those 8 seasons, that simply isn't good enough. The Wizards probably should have blown things up a while ago, however they were determined to make things work with their superstar backcourt. Once the Wizards offered an injury-prone John Wall a max contract extension, they had little choice but to make it work. They were always going to struggle to move him once they signed that contract, and the fact that they managed to after he missed 2 years of basketball is more of a testament to how bad things were more than anything else. Nonetheless, the Wizards brought in players like Davis Bertans, Robin Lopez, and Thomas Bryant in a bid to make the Wizards more competitive and keep their backcourt happy. While Beal for the most part had seemed content to stay in Washington, it wasn't enough for John Wall, who left for the Rockets at the start of the season. The deal that brought in Westbrook has done little to change the complexion of the Wizards. If anything, they are worse. They are currently the worst team in the NBA, and despite Beal's previous remarks that he's happy in Washington, we're pretty certain that he would move on if the right situation became available. We think the Wizards may decide to blow things up regardless of whether Beal wants to leave or not. When they do, we think a trade to the Celtics makes the most sense for all parties involved. The Celtics are aware that Jason Tatum can't keep carrying the team forever. The Celtics are probably very keen to find Tatum a long-term running mate to ensure the Celtics can be championship contenders when the postseason comes. With Bradley Beal, they would have such a player. Beal's a bona fide star in the NBA. He's the league's second-place scorer in the past season, putting up 27 points a game across the games he's played in. The person barely ahead of him is Steph Curry. He has the ability to go nuclear on any given night, and his 60-point performance and a loss to the Philadelphia 76ers shows and is undoubtedly one of the top 5 shooting guards in the league. His defense has been cause for criticism in recent years, but people think that is largely attributed to the fact that he had to carry the Washington Wizards offense every night. The Boston Celtics had themselves one of their most underwhelming and disappointing seasons in recent memory in 2020-21, and because of this, all summer long the team's decision makers had seemingly been set on making necessary shakeups to better their odds at success in 2021, 22, and beyond. Kicking off the party with the departure of longtime front office resident Danny Ainge, his role as president of basketball operations was soon filled by former head coach Brad Stevens, and from there, transactions started to be executed at quite a rapid rate. From the trade that sent Kemba Walker on his high-cost contract to the OKC Thunder, to the most recent free agency signing that brought on point guard Dennis Schroeder at a steal of a price, 1 year, $5.9 million, Stevens has been working tirelessly to give the new head coach, Ime Udoka, a better rotation to work with than what he personally had last year, and frankly, his moves may not be over yet. While the team's free agency signings have likely come to an end, there are still ways in which the Celtics could continue to make more player additions throughout the next several months, with the most notable method being by means of trade. And those of you who follow the Houdini may know we absolutely love talking about trades, the good ideas, the bad ideas. Simply put, we adore it all. Now, though, we've been rather quiet on this front of late. Other outlets have been working hard at concocting ways in which the Boston Celtics could attain other players around the league by these means, and who in specific the team may wish to target. Perhaps one of the biggest surprises from this offseason was the ultimate decision by both the Washington Wizards and All-Star Bradley Beal not to split apart quite yet from one another, despite numerous reports they are on the brink of a breakup. This, of course, came as somewhat disappointing news to Boston Celtics fans, as the guard has been linked as a possible trade target for the franchise dating back to last season with his deep ties to Jason Tatum. While many have moved on from the Beal to Boston talks for the time being, sports writer Mike Cruz still seems focused on the agenda and thinks that, should Washington fail to live up to their star's standards, the Celtics should absolutely look to deal him at the midway point of this upcoming campaign. Should this situation unfold, the Celtics should pounce on the opportunity to acquire Beal and pair him alongside his good buddy Jason Tatum. Washington probably wouldn't have much leverage in the potential Beal deal because of his contract. Thus, they could probably get in acquiring the 28-year-old without needing to include Jaylen Brown. Adding the number 2 scorer in the league last season to form a big three with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown would undoubtedly make Boston a legitimate threat to the defending champion Bucks and the powerhouse Nets in the Eastern Conference. Frankly, should Beal request a trade out of the nation's capital, we don't envision a return package being nearly as large as one likely would have been in the past. In other words, we don't believe it will cost the Boston Celtics Jaylen Brown. Beal teaming up with the likes of Tatum and Brown would rival just about any big three in the entire league, and it would make the Celtics legitimate threats to take down the conference's top-tier contenders in both Milwaukee and Brooklyn. When he does eventually move on from Washington, Beal is an elite NBA guard who will likely have a long list of suitors in the league if he does become available. However, we think a move to Boston offers Beal a perfect mix of factors that will make the trade the most sensible for both him and the two franchises involved. If Beal decides to move on, it will likely be because he wants to win and realizes he can't do that in Washington. It's surely only a matter of time before Bradley Beal and the Wizards have to face a hard reality that they aren't going to start winning anytime soon. Moving Bradley Beal makes the most sense for a franchise that will want as many chances as possible to find their next star player in the draft while simultaneously freeing up cap space in the coming years to sign a star-level player should the opportunity arise. The best way to put themselves in that position is to move Beal to the Celtics in return for numerous first and second round draft picks and 1 or 2 veteran players who will have a positive impact on the roster. We think this trade is becoming less of a matter of if and more of a matter of when if the Wizards' abysmal last season continues. They will have little choice but to make changes. The easiest way to go about doing that is to move their star shooting guard. Look out, Boston, Bradley Beal is on the way. If you guys like this video, go ahead and drop a like. Until next time.